This story begins with a video game. Shun was playing it when his younger sister Mio disturbed him. Now time passed and Shun was working in a gaming club. Nozomi, his friend, came and asked if he had seen her father because one computer wasn't working well. He said no and told her that he checked the computer later and gave her the order he had made. Shun was staring at the game and got lost, but again went to his work. Nozomi served the order, and Akito asked her to play a game. She tried to refuse, but he remembered her that they were friends, and Akito told her that he was with a group of his friends and if she would play, they'll give her a considerable order. She agreed and gave the order to Shun, and she started playing. Shun was making the food. They had played an excellent game, and when the game was over Shun served them the food. They asked him to write something, but Nozomi was angry, and she wrote really cringy words on the omelet. They really enjoyed it, and Akito asked Shun to join them, but Nozomi told him to stay away from Shun, and if Akito forced Shun to play, she'd get mad. She also agreed to play with them next time, and suddenly her father came along with Team Fox. Akito was so excited and asked Shun if he had watched the match yesterday because Jonathan had played it pretty well. Akito started talking with his friends and Nozomi went to his father and asked where he was. He told her that they'd talk about it later, and Jonathan summoned her father and they left. Everyone was peeking that the Fox team was tensed. Shun and Akito told them that the Zaxxerian Championship was coming, and the first prize was 10 million. At night he heated the graphic card and placed it back. It was working well. He looked at the game, and after a pause, he started playing it, remembered his past black memories, and stopped playing it. He was stressed. Nozomi woke him up because he had slept there. She advised him not to work hard, but he told her that he had to get the scholarship so he could continue his studies for free. She gave him the food she had made, and he left. He started going home on bicycle. Mio was watching the show of an actress Yu. He gave the food to his mother, and she told him to thank Nozomi. Her mother asked if she would set a plate for him, but he said he had eaten in the club, but his mother told him he had to eat and told him to take a bath. He refused her, but Mio and his mother told him to take a bath. After taking a bath he held Mio and placed her at the table. They started eating and they started talking about their normal routines. While washing the plates, Shun asked Mio if she wanted something because he was about to be paid, but she refused and said he might get a day off and spend with her. This would be more joyful for her. Now Shun was leaving. Mio and his mother said goodbye and he left. Nozomi's father was on a call with Jonathan, and they had a little harsh conversation. Now in the school, Akito was telling them about what he wanted to do in the future. Shun was eating the rice balls made by Nozomi, and she got angry and told him that he had to eat a proper meal and gave him some of her food. They asked Shun and he told them that he wanted a scholarship, and with what he could afford, he'd join that profession. Akito was still imagining his dreams. While coming back they were still talking, and suddenly they saw Nozomi's dad and Jonathan. Jonathan refused to work further with him and asked him for his remaining payments. In the office, Nozomi was mad at her father because they were in debt. His father said he thought that after the big competition they'd get money and could pay their loans, but she was mad at him. Jonathan's team had refused to play, and he asked them to play for him. Akito agreed, and now he started requesting Shun, but Nozomi told her father that he didn't have to force Shun. He was requesting him with tears. Suddenly Akito grabbed Shun's hand, took him outside, and asked him to play a game as a trial to show his capability for Akito's team. Nozomi tried to stop him, but Akito was provoking Shun's craze for the game, and he whispered in Shun's ear that he had to forgive himself for Mio's sake. Shun started playing and he met with an old player friend named Explosion. Akito and Nozomi were also happy to see that. Shun and Explosion had a little chat and they started playing. Shun was playing very well and they were shocked to see that Shun was great as usual. His moves were shockingly great, and when the game finished, he won and everyone was very happy. Explosion asked him to play again, and he promised that he would play soon. On the other side, Yu was summoned by her manager that it was her turn. Yu was Explosion and she went out for shooting. Now Nozomi was seeing the records and her father told her that the red signs showed their loan. She was angry and told him that he had to focus on business in spite of depending on the prize money. Akito was playing and they started saying that there were only 3 players, but they needed 5 players to make a team for the competition. Nozomi woke him up and told him that he was freely allowed to sleep there, but he had to go home and sleep well. She also apologized to him about dragging him into the game, but she was happy and thanked him that now they'll be like before. He went home. His mother and Mio welcomed him. He gave the food and this month's salary. He also gave Mio some of the salary and told her to buy whatever she wanted. She was watching an interview of Yu and Mio asked Shun if he was again in the game. He denied it and said Akito grabbed him by chance into the game. He grabbed her, and she whispered that it was okay if he was playing the game again. He put her in her seat, and they prayed. Now in the club, they were ready for the interviews of the players, and Nozomi started their interviews. Their interviews didn't go very well because they were useless. Now it was their game test, which also didn't go very well because all the players were complaining about things like the mouse, keyboard, etc. They were all exhausted and Nozomi's father said that it was in their bloodline, the misfortune, but Nozomi told him that it was just his mistakes and assumptions. They sat and started talking about the mistakes they had made in their first interview. They also asked the help of Nozomi's father and decided to call for interviews with only the top-ranked players. The next day no one came for the interview and her dad was depressed. At night Shun was studying when he got a message from Explosion. She asked him why he left playing the game. He remembered his past and said it was a misfortune. They started chatting and he asked that they were going to do a great match and asked if she could join them, but she refused to voice calls and meet up. They were chatting and suddenly he was summoned by her manager. The next day to the breakfast table Shun's mother asked him about the new hiring and he told her that they didn't get any new members for work in the gaming club because no one was capable of that. But they told him that he didn't have to be disappointed. Now in school and at work he was thinking that he was living life offline only, but he had again entered the online gaming world. Nozomi had interviewed another person, but he was also not able to be a team member. Shun checked the list and there were only 2 names. One of them was creepy and cringy at the same time. Suddenly a boy came, and they got shocked that he was a boy. Nozomi asked him to write his details, but he refused and asked to play a game first. They allowed him and he was having his stuff to play the game. When he started, they were doubting his skills, but he rocked when he started playing. He was also not after winning the game, but he wanted to make people enjoy who watch his fighting style. Suddenly Nozomi's father made him part of the team, and now they were thinking about the last participant and suddenly a masked man came who told them his name was Big Bang Infinity. Now they checked his skills, and he was also rocking. They were shocked by his skills and her father also made him part of the team. He asked him about his real name and his face, and he refused them. Now they started following him. Now he went to his apartment, and they asked Shun to knock on his door and they would record it if something bad happened. He went and rang, but there was no response. Suddenly blood came from the door, and he went inside out of his scarceness. It was a total mess. There were a lot of weird things and a computer. Suddenly you came out from the bath, and he was shocked to see her. What will happen next in this story? Subscribe to the channel for the latest updates.